Good evening, because I'm here in Malaysia and it's evening here. I don't know where you're joining me from, but I'll anyways, regardless, greet you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night for some of you who are already sleeping there in Australia, Japan, and Korea. This is your host Elias here with another midweek episode of previewing our upcoming game. And today is a little bit special. As you all know, usually I have Spurs fans on with me to discuss the upcoming fixtures. But for certain special games, as you all know, I started doing this show called Step Up Rivals Show. So today is the episode of Step Up Rivals Show. So I actually have a Newcastle fan with me. And the interesting thing is that this whole week I was thinking how to actually invite a Newcastle fan. Like, there are not many that I know, first of all. And those that I know, they're very YouTube shy. They don't like to go on YouTube and discuss about Newcastle. Uh, and of course, I mean, they have struggled lately, the years under their previous owners. So yeah, they're really coming out of their woods and on the from the caves. So let's see. But today, I in the end managed to get a Newcastle fan, and the coincidence is that he was like, "Yeah, I'm a Newcastle fan. I just joined recently a new chat group," and then he was in there and he was like, "Yeah, I'm a Newcastle fan. If anybody want to have me on for this week," I'm like, "Yeah, my prayers have been answered, and I found someone." And so today's guest will be none other than Steve Machala. Did I pronounce your name correct, Steve?
It's Machala, yeah. It's Polish
It's
and
Machala.
Czech, so it's just a silent C. Silent C.
Oh, it's a silent C. So Steve Machala. How are you doing,
yes.
Steve?
Hey, I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, man. It's my pleasure to have you on, by the way. And with me, I have one guy. He's from Malaysia. I think he's not that important, by the way, so I won't introduce him that well. He's he's none other than Eugene.
So can I
How
start
you doing,
swearing?
Eugene?
Can I start swearing now? Can I start swearing now?
No, cannot. 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes.
Nah. Hi, Steve.
How you
Nice
doing,
to meet
Eugene?
you.
Nice to
Yeah.
meet you too, man.
Yeah, I'm doing well. And it's morning in Malaysia now. Elias, morning. Yeah, we
It's
passed the 12
evening.
o'clock.
It's evening.
Morning.
I'm a young lad. My evening
Yeah.
starts at 12 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Keep your times. Yeah.
You're an uncle. Your 12 a.m. is morning for you. I'm young.
Okay.
I'm young.
Yeah. Steve, where are you from actually?
Born in Chicago, in the U.S., but I live on the East Coast now, kind of near Boston. So,
All right. The
yeah.
States.
Yeah, USA. Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the comments here. We have somebody. His name is Lokman Yunasung Eugene. Who's that guy? Hi everyone. Big up. #Levy out. He always says that, and everybody ignores him, right? Just kidding. TJ Varenti, big up Lies and only Lies. Not that
TJ.
fraud, Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, TJ, you forgot that fraud Eugene as well. And we have, now it's very hard to tell who is behind the Tottenham away. Is it Stel? Is it Will? Is it Iggy? I don't know who is there, by the way. Big up, guys.
I bet it's Stel.
Usually thought away is Stel. It's Stel.
It could be Will, or I don't know who is behind there. Lily White Lane, big up, bro, big up.
Big up, Robbie.
Big up, Robbie. And this guy, yes, Stel, if you want to join us, let me know. I'll send you the link in the WhatsApp. And we have TJ Warren here, and we have this fraud here as well, Carl Simpson. How are you doing? And we have some real legends in the chat. Some real legends. Goguma,
Yeah,
how are you doing?
doing?
This is what legends are like, by the way. Like Goguma. Yep, all others are fraud legends. And we have it's Iggy. Big up Iggy.
Oh, Iggy, join us, Iggy, if you're free. Yeah,
Iggy, join us. We'll love to hear from you the stories about your cousins from the other side of Milan. Okay, Goguma is saying hi, Steve, and yeah.
What's going on?
So guys, this weekend we have the Newcastle game. Is it weekend? Yes, it's weekend. It's just Monday morning for us here in Malaysia, right, Eugene? Monday morning or Monday night for me, Monday morning for you, anyway.
Friday,
yep.
Bro.
Friday.
Yeah, today's Friday.
No, it's Sunday.
You're not on my show, bro. You're on your own show. It's Friday tomorrow.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah, it's
it's
Friday tomorrow, right? Yeah, but the game is on Monday,
9
right?
No,
Sunday
the
night.
game is Sunday. The game is
Sunday
on
at
Sunday.
9 p.m. for you guys, 9 a.m.
Yeah,
for me.
yeah,
9 p.m. for us. Yeah.
yeah.
By the way, guys, if you all see me forgetting things, it's just that I'm going through a lot of things. I'm moving house tomorrow, and I'm just very busy these few days,
Fair enough.
and that's why, like, it's gonna be one of those streams. I think I'll let these two guys talk, and I'll just listen. But guys, I know Eugene quite well. By the way, Steve Machala, how long have you been following Newcastle? Like, did you start supporting Newcastle since Amanda Stevely started those negotiations with the Saudis, or were you following Newcastle before that?
No, it's been before that. I started following about 2017, 18. Basically I am a Newcastle fan just because my mom used to work at this bakery, and she knew this guy that was a Newcastle fan from the area, and I was watching the Premier League as a neutral for the first, I don't know, 4 years. And he was like, all right, well, since Newcastle are putting me through the ringer, you're gonna suffer with me too under Ashley and Bruce. So he bought me a shirt and was like, that's your club from now on. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. Thanks for the shirt. So yeah, I've been supporting Newcastle since about 17-18 season, 18-19. Around that
How old were
time.
you back then?
So I'm 21 right now. That'd be about 16, something like that.
16.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So guys, if you want to know how to
you made a good
convert
choice,
a
right?
fan,
You made a
sorry,
good choice.
sorry.
Luckily, you didn't pick Spurs. You'd be still suffering.
One of my favorite ever games was the Joelinton winner away to you guys. It was an assist from, what's his name? Oh my god. I'm trying to think here. It was Joelinton who won it. Oh my gosh, who was it? He just passed away recently. Newcastle player, former Newcastle player. He passed away in Turkey recently.
My history is
Oh,
quite bad. If anybody in the chat know, let me know.
the one who passed away in the earthquake.
Yes.
What's
He
his name?
assisted the winner for Joelinton's goal. It was in the orange shirt. We were playing in an orange shirt. I have that
Oh
shirt.
yeah. Now I remember, but I don't know the name. Still, and Carl Simpson and Steve, sounds like you have picked the best years, mate. Exciting times.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was like winning the lottery, man. It was
Yeah,
like
man.
winning the lottery. Yeah, right place, right time, I suppose. I've always kind of been of the mindset
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
everything happens for
It's
a
true.
reason, but I had to go through 2 or 3 years of relegation battles, and that was not fun.
Mm.
Yeah, 2 to 3 years of relegation battles, but it has paid off, right? You guys did the protest, you got the owners out, and now the owners are really out, and you are enjoying the fruits of the Saudi paradise.
Yeah, and to be honest, I would say that whenever it comes to this kind of stuff, if we are going to be honest, it is these guys, the owner's decision to sell. So there, it was a good Christian Atsu. Thank you in the chat, man. He rests in peace. He got
Yeah,
the assist
big up
for the
Carl
Joe
Simpson.
Ellington. He got the assist for the Joe Ellington winner. One of my favorite ever memories as a Newcastle fan. But yeah, so for me, he sold when he wanted to sell, and he sold, when the opportunity was right to the PIF. But we put the pressure on for sure, and we did everything that we could in terms of just making our opinions known about how he was very, very, very careless with the running of the club and negligent a lot of the time. Didn't really spend that much money either. And when he did spend money, he spent loads and loads. It sounds crazy now, but you guys would all remember Joe Ellington not being a very successful signing. for 40, 50 odd million from Hoffenheim because we played him as a number 9 and he didn't score goals. So, and with Joe Ellington, it was the whole moving him into midfield now. So,
Yep.
we had to absolutely protest, and it got tense at times. It did. I've got friends on both sides of the argument in terms of some people felt like going to games was giving Mike Ashley the money, and some people were like, nah, I'm not gonna go, or I am gonna go, but I'm not buying merchandise, I'm not buying food, I'm not buying blah blah blah. And you know what? Sometimes those tough conversations got to be had in this sort of thing, because it is true. If you give the owner your money, even if it's just a few bucks, just do your part.
Yep.
And that's ultimately that will show how willing you are. Yeah, it's going to be hard to get your season ticket back, but that it for me, it shows how willing you are to get the owner out of the club and how you feel about it. Because at the end of the day, that is how you can motivate these guys to leave, is by not giving you their money, and then maybe other people will follow suit. Albeit the product on the field, as much as it's crap for you guys right now, it was even worse under Ashley.
Can something be worse than Spurs, Eugene?
No, but to tell the truth, right, Steve, what I believe what Ashley has done, right, at least he was honest with you Newcastle fans, right? He just said outright, I'm here to milk you. Just give me your money, right? And I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to give you shit football, right? If you want it, take it. If you don't want it, you can I swear now? Yeah, I can swear now.
Yes, you can swear now.
Yeah, get the fuck out. I don't care, right? And the thing with the Newcastle fans is that you've been a fan for about 5 years or so, or more, right? But the Newcastle fans have been protesting for at least 10 to 15 years against
2008 is when he took over.
Yeah, so they've been protesting for so long, right? And in their day, I think Ashley was just waiting for the right price to come along to let it go, because he kept saying, if someone gives me the money I want, the amount I want, I'll be gone tomorrow. But no one came around to give him the money until the what call Saudi investors came along with Amanda Steele and all that, right? And that's how you got your new owners, right? But you guys protested, and every match you protested, no, even though when the stadiums were not even full, right, 3/4 full, half full, you guys protested, right? And that put pressure on Ashley. But the thing is that Ashley was honest with the fans. He didn't sell you guys a pipe dream, right? Of I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that, and then bring in someone else to give you shit. That's the problem, right? I've been saying, if our owner, right, or our owners or our chairman just came out and said, I'm actually here to milk you guys, right, for every penny you have, right? And if you want me, give me the money and willingly give it to me, right? And I'll accept it. But nah, you sell us bullshit all the time, and you get away with it. You see? So
but you're right about Ashley, because his whole thing was he saw Newcastle United as a platform to promote Sports Direct, and he went so far as to, when we qualified for the Europa League and we finished 5th in 2011.
I think I have a Sports Direct mug. Let me find it. Just kidding.
When we qualified for the Europa League and for the 2012-13 season, he didn't want to play in Europe because he couldn't call this it in UEFA competitions. You can't use the name of the brand. It would be St. James's Park, not Sports Direct Arena. And he'd also have to change up the advertisement. So he couldn't actually advertise Sports Direct in Europe. And so he was just like, all right, can we just not play it then? So you're right. He was pretty, just honest, I guess, in the fact that he didn't give a shit. He just wanted to promote Sports Direct. But yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay. What about the history?
Because his brand name was Sports Direct. That's why he was very direct.
Steve, right? When Ashley bought Newcastle, right? Was Newcastle in any danger of going under, or were they in any danger of being non-existent, or did he come in to save the club, or any kind of story like that?
Not really. I mean, Sir John Hall was the guy that owned us previously, before Ashley, and it was in fine state. I mean, I think the last year under him we qualified for the UEFA Cup.
Definitely.
It was in an all right state, but Ashley just he what happened was he tried to fit in with the supporters and go in with the crowd and fucking drink with our fans and stuff, and he didn't he didn't put any care or anything into the club like that. So it was just we got relegated after that with and Carroll broke out in the championship and whatnot. So yeah, it's
I still remember the season that you guys got relegated and we got Sissoko.
Yeah, 16-17. Yeah.
And we got Sissoko out of all the other players that we could have gotten, right?
Oh dear. Put up the SOF.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I wanted to put that up. So, guys, can anybody else verify that Paratici's appeal has been rejected? I haven't seen the news on that. Like Fabrizio hasn't updated.
One of your match fixers can't play. Or not play. He can't do his job.
He didn't. I don't think he didn't fix matches, right? He just fixed the books.
It's just the records and all that, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
the actual match fixer is our manager now.
Stellini. Yeah. I wonder if Iggy was up to anything. All these Italians breaking all the rules.
Oh, dear.
Are you saying that Italian likes to break rules? Iggy, are you hearing that? Okay. Sorry, guys, for that mild racist comment from our guest, but it's okay. Iggy knows we tease him all the time in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, let's move on. I want to ask you, Steve, this question.
Yeah.
Newcastle since last season, I think we all know that yes, you guys have gotten in the big money, that Saudi ownership, the oil money, and you guys are like the richest football club in the world right now. Yeah. But despite that, actually, I don't think we have seen you guys spend that big at the moment. Like you guys are doing spending, but you guys didn't go crazy like what Chelsea did, what some other teams are doing.
Jesus, sorry.
Did I say something that triggered that alarm? Sorry, am I not?
No.
Yeah. So I know that you guys didn't go that big in summer, or even like in the transfer window. You guys did some pretty good signings, but they were not like expensive signings. They were not like 70-80 million just spent on one player. Unlike us, like we I think wasted 65 million on Richarlison, in my opinion, which I don't know like if he's actually
we spent 50 million plus 10, so we might not.
There are some add-ons as well and some deals like if he does this and all, we have to pay like 5 million for that. But anyhow, we have done this kind of things. But Newcastle, on the other hand, they didn't expand that big since Eddie Howe came even. But what's that whole thing about Eddie Howe? Like, what is he doing at Newcastle that's working so well for them at the moment? And do you think that he has a bit of a say in the footballing matters that's making the difference? Like tell us about Eddie Howe first of all. What because when he was not having a window, I remember when he joined you guys last season before the January window. Since then also he was doing quite well in my opinion. Get me through it, because I haven't done much of study on Eddie Howe, but if you can from the Newcastle fans perspective, give me your thoughts.
So what Eddie Howe did in our club in the previous January window, not this one, but the one last year, was Eddie Howe in an interview said we needed leaders because we were deep in the shit because we hadn't won. We had only won one game, I believe, before January, which was a 1-0 win at home against Burnley, if I'm not mistaken. So we were rock bottom in and amongst it with Norwich and Burnley and whatnot. Yeah, we were. So what that January window was, we brought in Dan Burn, Trippier, who's been crucial for us as well.
Yeah, Dan Burn was
That
quite
target on
was quite
loan,
good.
and Bruno Guimaraes. So we brought in 4 players, and pretty much 3 of them,
That's a big
and
news,
target
guys.
to an extent. Oh,
That's a
fuck
big news.
off! Are you kidding me? Juve I hate Juve so much. I support Lazio. That's
They
ass.
got their
Okay.
15 points back, but Paratici got his appeal rejected. That's a weird one. So I
That
guess
that that that, that
That is
doesn't
kind of
make sense.
backwards.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe Paratici is going to be the fall guy for all this. So I don't know. None of the
Eugene,
names are going to.
let's do another stream later on this.
Yeah, we have to go look at that later.
Okay. Yeah. So that's surprising. Like, why would they get 15 points back and Partici's appeal gets rejected? Seriously, that's bad. But anyhow, Steve, go on.
Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so what the previous January window was last year was we needed leaders in, right? Because we were in a relegation battle. So we spent a few million on Dan Burn, local lad, born in the area, was playing at Brighton and whatnot. Was a left back or a center back. He came in. He's been pretty crucial for us, albeit his form has dropped lately, but this is what it is. Same with Trippier. He's been, again, another hugely successful signing. Definitely, in my opinion, in terms of the leadership he brings and whatnot. Bruno Guimaraes has, again, revolutionary.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Ridiculous. Oh, my God. Seriously, he is one of the top-tier midfielders in the Premier League. I think most people are in would be in agreement with that. Love watching him at Olympique Lyonnais, and we got him for a great price too. And Arsenal are obviously looking at him too. He's made a huge difference, as well as Chris Wood. Chris Wood did make a difference because it did weaken Burnley at the time, who was a direct relegation rival. So that window was very successful, obviously, and that was Eddie's whole point about the leadership aspect of things. Because when you're in a relegation battle, you need warriors, you need soldiers, you need guys with mentalities that are very, very strong, that are willing to fight, and that that are gonna go. You're gonna go through a lot more bad days than good days. So you've got to keep your head screwed on, otherwise you will. You and your club are going down. It's as simple as that. It's very cutthroat, relegation and whatnot. So you've got to have certain players, and when those players stepped in, you saw a difference. You really, really did see a huge difference in the way we played and the attitude and whatnot. Also with Joe Ellington moving to midfield, that was crucial. So for me, Eddie Howe is
Magic.
Yeah, yeah, of course he's magic. He's only 3 other teams have saved themselves from relegation. At that point we were at, only 3 teams have ever done that. That was West Brom in the early 2000s and Leicester. Leicester were at a very, very low point. In January they managed to save themselves. So. And we survived in style. We finished 12th, 11th. We were comfortable at the end, or 13th, around there. So, yeah, for me, Eddie Howe is a guy, and there's a podcast out there called High Performance. Very, very good interview. Talks about his style of management and whatnot, and he's very personable with the players. He really, really likes to get to know everything about them. He sets extremely, extremely high standards of himself, and he says that no matter how much pressure there is seemingly from the media and whatnot, he's not worried about it because he himself personally sets an even higher bar for himself. So that's always good to hear, because that'll show that he's up for this and that the media won't faze him. And that's the first battle that you have to contend with, because the English media are pretty fucking vile, honestly. Sometimes just so
They are.
it's so annoying, all the stuff you see. So for me, and he's a guy that doesn't make compromises. He's very steadfast in his philosophy. He went and spent time after he left Bournemouth, spent time with Diego Simeone, Atletico Madrid, to improve his defensive aspect in the game, which was one of the things people hammered him about. In terms of that was something that his side struggled with, which is defending. So we fixed that up. I think that he's a guy that really reflects a lot on himself. And like I said, he sets very high standards and is always looking to keep pushing and pushing and pushing higher and higher up. So that for me is what's done it. And he's off to a brilliant start. And couldn't be happier with
Steve, I think what happened was more or less, I think, when the new owners came in, right? They set plan. After they set that plan out, is that they said in 10 years' time they want to be at the point where they're challenging for the Premier League. And I think when they brought in Eddie Howe, his first job was to actually get you guys out of relegation.
Yeah.
So when he brought in the players that he identified, I'm very sure he identified the players, right? Because like you said, he's a well studied manager, coach, right? And he's more very hands-on with the players and all that, get to know them well and all that. So I guess there's a certain kind of player that, number one, like I always said, when you're a manager, the first thing you must get is the respect of your players. Then the players will do things for you without actually being asked to do. So to show you the respect, that's what the players that he brought in. And of course, the first part where the spending came in is that, it was a big spending. At the moment, you guys are not buying crazy big, right? And when you reach your target last season where you didn't get relegated, the next step was that he needed to strengthen the defense. He brought in Sven Botman, right? To tell the truth, we would have loved Sven Botman.
We should have gotten.
Absolutely.
We should have gotten Sven Botman.
AC Milan, who are Champions League semi-finalists at this very moment, were after Sven Botman in the summer as well.
Yeah, we should have gotten him. So that's to strengthen the defense. So I guess Eddie Howe made a good move in that. And not to say even Trippier, we were even linked to Trippier before he went to you guys last season, right? We were linked to him. We were supposed to bring him back because we could see that our weaknesses, we didn't have the players that we need. But being the Spurs owner, right, we always pick the shit up and we stick with the shit. And we never let go of the shit. So that's that part of being a Spurs fan.
Isak as well. Isak is finally starting to bear fruit.
And Isak is young.
Man. Yes.
Isak is young.
Yeah.
Right. So
I rated Isak way before Newcastle got him, actually. I love it. And I wanted him that time when we were linked with Dusan Vlahovic back in the last January transfer window. I wanted him. I said that, okay, Dusan Vlahovic is just a player who is having that up moment. He's not that great. I said it actually, I think on a fan show on one of the channels, that we should be going for Alexander Isak. But in the end, we got shit like Richarlison. If Isak would have been here, I think would have been good. Really, he's a proper player. But anyways, let me greet some people here in the chats. We have Ingwa, big up Ingwa. Thanks for joining us.
Ingwa.
And we have Tem. As a Newcastle fan, is a must win for us. Anything less would be a loss, in my opinion. Gotta take our punch. Sorry, Spurs fans. No, don't feel sorry for Spurs fans. Even Spurs fans don't feel sorry for themselves. So, Item, I'm with you. Spurs fans deserve the worst possible result that can ever come out of the games, because they deserve this misery. They have asked for this misery and they deserve this misery. So yeah, I'm.
That's my buddy. That's my buddy from the Philippines, by the way. Shout out 10. Thanks for
big up, bro. Philippines is just like our neighbors. Southeast Asian. Big up, bro.
Yeah. Give us a subscribe to Spursvasion and step up Spurs too. Right?
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Get in touch with us. We'll do shows with is it possible if I can drop the link with you, so we have a balance? 2 Southeast Asian Spurs fans, 2 Southeast Asian. No lad. No lad. In that case, we'll have too many Southeast Asians on the stream. We need one more American. Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, we'll be like, we are marginalizing Steve. No, I don't want to do that.
Nah, you're not.
Just kidding. Okay. Guguma says that's cool. Learn about how. I wonder how far he will take Newcastle. I'll come back to this question again, but I
Ooh.
want to ask Eugene a question. Eugene, what do you think when a new manager comes in? Is it just a managerial bounce that works in as well, or do the players need to align with and to synergize as well with the philosophy that he's bringing, with the discipline he's trying to bring in, and with the formula that he has for winning, in terms of the mentality, in terms of the techniques that you apply in overall, in terms of how serious you take your job, how serious you take your lifestyle, and because as a player, as an athlete, you need to have that lifestyle of winning, not just like some moments or some performances, but you need to have that winning lifestyle. The way you live your life, it really affects how you perform on the pitch. How important do you think are those aspects in player, like as we were talking about Eddie Howe going
Okay,
to Newcastle?
the
It
thing
can't
is
just be
that
Eddie Howe.
right at the moment now, as we see it, right, the modern day footballer has changed a lot, right? If you go back to the olden days, right, in the 80s, 70s, right, even close, I think, to the 90s, right, footballers used to drink, smoke, even before the game. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was the that part. But nowadays, footballers have to live a different lifestyle. But when you're talking about the new manager bounce, I don't think it's, and you can't call it the new manager bounce anymore for Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe has been there for like a year now, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be close to a year, right? So when you reach certain levels like that, right, whatever Eddie Howe brings in now, you must know that the players that you have are professionals, right? They're dedicated to their profession. Whether you are a professional, whether you love the game or not, but you go in there, that's your profession. You have to give your full professional, we'll call commitment to the sports and the game and to your manager, to the club, right? But of course, some other players are passionate about the game. They have a different what I call way of handling things, right? Some players are just saying, okay, this is just a job, right? I'll take it as a job, but I will perform at that job. Big up, right?
Big up, Leo.
Yeah, big up Leo, right? And they nowadays I see footballers like the career of footballer maximum 15 years, and that's very lucky, right? If you can get that kind of
Goalkeepers could play. Goalkeepers could play a
yeah,
while, but yeah.
yeah. But
Not
if you're looking
15.
overall about 15 years, that is a very long longevity for a football player, right?
Yeah.
So they will more or less have to make the most out of those 15 years, right? Money wise, right? Whatever their lifestyle and all that, you know.
Yeah.
We have a very good example of a player, right? We call Dele Alli, right? He was supposed to come in and blow everybody away, but after 2-3
I
seasons
hate that guy.
of magic, all of a sudden he turned into something else. So I
He got
guess
complacent, is what it was.
complacent is one thing. Maybe the focus, maybe like I was saying, maybe he didn't love the game at all. He was just there to make the money, right? And in the end of the day, if you lose the passion for the game, your focus goes to elsewhere. But you are
His
not going to be
focus was on Pep
you,
Guardiola's daughter, by the way, apparently.
yeah, but you ain't gonna get you ain't gonna make a living out of screwing Pep Guardiola's daughter, right? So right, so you
It's
ain't
true.
you ain't what call a super e gamer, right?
Yeah,
Where
he
you
does
make
that
a
too,
living out,
streaming Twitch or
yeah,
whatever.
We have a new guest, Ten
Hi, big
Diadem
up,
from
Big up.
Philippines. Big up, bro.
Yeah.
guys, big up. Yeah, nice to meet you.
10, is it? Is it the same time as it is in the Philippines? 12:45
Malaysia,
a.m. Same time?
Yep. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. 12:45, same time with us at the moment now.
Nice.
Right. So that's why I'm saying professionalism comes in. Like you take
Yeah.
players like Harry Kane, right? Harry Kane is not naturally gifted, but he puts in the effort. He puts in
Really?
the work. Yeah.
You don't think he's naturally gifted?
No, Harry Kane was
I
never
think-
naturally gifted.
I disagree.
No,
I was
Harry
about to
Kane-
say, because you could play him as a 10. He's very good.
No,
on
I
the
know
ball.
where Eugene is coming from. I'll explain it later.
No,
Yeah.
he's not naturally gifted like a Messi. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, well,
You-
yeah.
you
in
understand
that
or not?
way,
He had to
yes.
work
Yeah.
for he has to put in the practice, he has to
Yeah.
to know where to put the ball. You get what I'm saying? He's
Yeah.
not the kind of player where certain players like you see like Ronaldinho, Kaká, right? These guys are naturally gifted. It's like when you put the ball at their feet, right?
And Arfa,
Yeah.
if you're talking
Yeah.
Newcastle, Ginola.
Ginola was our player too.
Gascoigne
Yeah,
was a freak.
Yeah. I mean, it's like they got the chewing gum stuck to the ball on their feet, and they stuck to the ball, and the ball just follow wherever they want the ball to go.
Yeah.
So he had to work for it. You get what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
if you lose sight of your objective of being a footballer, you get a Dele Alli. Simple as that.
Right.
That is the best example I can give you. All right. But
Yes.
nowadays, footballers, their lifestyle, I don't know. If you walk out, if you're a big time footballer, if you go to a movie, if you go to a restaurant, the paparazzi are there. Sometimes you pity them too because they don't actually have a life, especially in the UK, right? All right. Maybe other countries they are not that into. They don't hound the footballers so much, but in the EPL, you are hounded down all the time. You make one wrong move, right? You get ostracized, right?
Exactly.
And you must understand it's actually human nature, right? People always remember your mistakes, but never remember your achievements, right? Simple as that.
Yeah, I very much feel that. But Steve, I wanted to come back to you here. Why I asked that question is, I know that yes, Eddie Howe has worked wonders since he has come in.
Yeah.
But I also want to ask you, like, do you think that the players play a big role as well in Newcastle? The kind of personnel that has been brought in, the scouting that has been done by Newcastle, how much of a role does that play in terms of where Newcastle were under Steve Bruce, where Steve Bruce left you guys, to where you guys are now? Like, that's a big jump or a big leap for a manager like Eddie Howe, who hasn't been in like the top six management before, and he has brought you guys from the relegation battle to a top four. Now you're challenging for Champions League spots. Even like someone like Arteta struggled with it, and he hasn't done like big spending. Like he hasn't gone to the market, spent so crazy. D- Definitely, it can't just be a managerial thing. It has to be that yes, players have worked well with him. The scouting has been done properly with the kind of personnel that has been brought into Newcastle. Like, what's the success? What's the success secret of the Newcastle team over the last 15 months or so? I'll say.
What the success secret is, and it's not really a secret, is that there's some ambition at the club. And by the way, Ten, feel free to pop in at any time with your kind of thoughts about it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's all about now that there's actually something to look forward to. There's some ambition in the club, and just like at Spurs, for example, with Levy, it's like everything. It's like a fish. Everything rots from the head down, right? But if there's a good fish, everything looks nice. So if the top is nice and then the bottom and all, So for me, it's just that someone actually cares now. And now the fans, every single game is sold out. Even Carabao Cup early first round, second round games at home to Bournemouth, they're sold out. And the fan support is back and whatnot. It's the fact that the club has some life again, and that there's something to fight for, and that there's some ambition. Just to put simply. So 10, you can talk.
I think it's the same question.
Yeah, I think what has really helped us in terms of going from a relegation club to, basically
Champions League.
Competing for the Champions League
Europe,
I think it also has to do with who we appointed at the club as sporting director, CEO, and all that. The sporting director or the director of football at Newcastle is actually, we bought him out of Brighton, and everyone knows how good Brighton is. Yeah, Dan Ashworth. So
and Darren Neal's their new CEO as well from Atlanta United.
Yeah, so I think
him too. Yeah.
And I think you kind of look at, let's say, how good our sort of recruitment is, compare that to a team like Chelsea. Chelsea on paper, probably a better team than us on paper, but it's also what happens at, the board level or the executive level. So
and the personalities you bring in, whether they gel together.
And Eddie Howe looks really, really deeply into personalities too. That's the other thing I forgot to mention, because on his podcast he says he does very, very deep research onto it. And when he brings in a player to the club, he really knows strengths, weaknesses, what your role is, how personality wise are you going to fit with the guys here? Are you going to be an upholder of the culture we've set? That's the other thing too. Personality plays a huge part in that.
I think another thing to be added is I feel like last season, from January till basically the end of the season last season, we were in a pretty good run of form. I know we lost 5-1 to Spurs during that run, but when you think about it as a whole, in the second half of last season, we were one of the most informed teams. I remember we had a 11-game unbeaten run before I think we lost to Chelsea in the last minute. And then it was almost like that form of the second half of last season kind of carried through to this season, whereby between our 2 losses against Liverpool, we went on a 17-game unbeaten run, which I never thought we would be able to do.
Then you squeeze a Carabao Cup final run in between that as well. Those 2 Liverpool losses, albeit we lost.
That could be part of, carrying your form from last season and giving the manager what he wants to improve on this season, right? So that is the most biggest part, because like what I'm saying, what you are saying is that, like what Steve is saying, Eddie Howe actually gets to pick the players he wants.
Because for me, right, I still think we are overachieving with the squad that we have.
Of course.
Not going to use bad words, but our squad, compare it to, a Chelsea or Liverpool, we're still
even Spurs.
A relatively shit squad in general, because we still, we have Jacob Murphy, we have Matt Ritchie still playing.
Kraft,
Amel Kraft, and some of these players, and what Eddie Howe has done has made kind of average players. A good example is Jacob Murphy in the recent weeks, whereby I'm not a big Jacob Murphy fan, but
Murphy was always kind of decent player. I mean,
he's a grafter. He's a grafter. He's a hard worker. That's always been his thing.
He's not at the quality that, let's say, a Chelsea or Spurs or whoever top 6-7 club would have. So I think it also comes down to just how good Eddie Howe is as a coach as well. So whether we get Champions League football this season or next season, or if we don't get Champions League football, I do expect us to be spending money to improve the squad, because we want to be able to elevate and really rise our
not stagnate, I
standards.
suppose.
Because I think one of the problems at Spurs is lack of improving the squad or investment, or trying to look forward.
They're re-signing.
Too content, I think.
What happens in Spurs, right, is that we don't buy players that the managers want. Period. That's all, right? Simple as that. And we keep our deadwood, right? Like the gems that we have. So that is the saddest part. But to tell the truth, like Tan and Steve, what Eddie Howe has did, right? He's also been very brave, because don't forget, you have a player called ASM, right? He was one of the big stars, right? And nowadays ASM don't even get to start. Right?
Yep.
So
even though I
think it's it almost feels like, I don't know, maybe Steve have a different opinion. Maybe there'll be some Newcastle fans that don't want ASM to leave, but I feel I'll be okay with letting ASM go this summer, because maybe that would maybe improve the squad in terms of how we want to play.
We can find a replacement,
and you're gonna be surprised, Spurs will get ASM.
Probably.
I think that's really from the outside looking in at Spurs. I think since sacking Poch back in 2019, your squad hasn't really changed. Like, the core players, I still see Hugo Lloris, Eric Dyer, and all those names.
Tell me
And I
about
just
it.
feel like there's been
Tell us
a lot
about
of stagnation, and
Yeah,
now
stagnant.
I think
We are too
a lot.
content, I think, with what we have.
Yeah, I think
Mediocrity.
like
Yep,
I
exactly.
think
That's
maybe
the word.
now Spurs fans are realizing like Newcastle coming from a relegation sort of side to now practically could be 6 points ahead of Spurs with a game in hand after Sunday.
Same with Aston Villa. They
Yeah,
rose
so
from
I
the
think
dead too
I
this
think
year.
now that's as teams will get stronger over a period of time, that Spurs did not properly not only invest or bring in players, but not been able to sell players at the right time. Like a
Yep.
player like I don't know who would be a good example.
Don't you
Lo
mention
Celso
Sun.
and
Don't you say
Dembele,
Sun.
Lo
No,
Celso and Dembele,
I still think Son's still
Regulon.
good.
There's a whole list of them.
We have
Whole
two
list of them.
50 million worth of players out
I
on
think
loan.
I think Hugo Lloris should have maybe a couple years ago, whatever, should have been moved on.
Yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
And it's that sort of lack of planning, because now your backup goalkeeper is Fraser Forster, who, let's be honest, isn't just as good as So
But Ten, you
I
must
think
understand, for Spurs, right? We have this very bad thing that's going on now. Ever since Poch left, right? We have changed 4 managers in 4 years. You get what I'm saying? No? How are you going to have continuity and improve on a squad? Number one, you don't buy the players that the manager wants. Number two is that you don't keep your managers long enough to
Exactly.
develop a squad. So
You
that's
haven't
true.
completed a Premier League season without sacking a manager for this is the 3rd or 4th straight year now.
yeah,
2018,
Yep.
19.
yeah.
4
Yep,
years
exactly.
since Poch, yeah.
Since
Unreal.
Poch.
That's the
I
sad
think
part
I
about
think
Spurs.
I think the next manager for Spurs, I don't know if Enrique would be, the
Oh.
best choice, but maybe
Let's see.
someone that's similar to a Pochettino. It's not going to be Pochettino, but maybe someone
Aren't you
similar to that,
shocked?
whereby they can build the squad around. Because under Pochettino, that was probably the best, like, Spurs side. The mid 2010s that Spurs were, not necessarily winning trophies, but being able to compete. And as a Newcastle fan, I would maybe fear playing Spurs, and now now it's kind of like I can have some confidence that we can beat Spurs on our
Hear
day.
this,
So
Spurs fans. Hear this. Newcastle now has confidence to beat us, by the way, guys. And it's true. It's true. You should have that
Yeah.
confidence because you're just shit. Yep.
yeah, because I feel like
No,
5-6 years ago, Spurs would easily beat us, and
Oh no,
I
no,
wouldn't
no,
have
no.
any confidence.
Is
But
that
now,
is that true, right? 10. You guys have never been easily beaten by us. It's a weird thing with Newcastle and Spurs, right? We have this relationship with Newcastle, which is very weird, right? It's either when
Well,
we go out,
we did trash them
smash you.
last season 4-0.
No, yes.
Yeah.
It's either we go out and we smash you, or we can go out and we can't even touch you.
Touch you.
You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
That's the weird part. I don't know. I remember matches, right, where you are 1-0 up, and we have had like 40 shots on the goal, right? And Dubravka has saved like 15 shots.
oh yeah,
at you
or
guys, right?
Tim Cool,
And-
or,
Yeah, and we still can't get the ball in behind the net. So I don't know. It's something hoodoo or something. But sometimes we turn up and we do a number on you guys, right? But I don't know. But guys,
By the way, guys, I need to give a bit of a shout out. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a new subscriber, JP Eka Spurs. Big up.
Big up,
And
JP.
guys, if you haven't already, just hit the like button as well. And if you haven't, go and subscribe to Spurs Vision TV. Goguma just dropped the link in the chat as well. Big up to every single one of you who have just subscribed. I think we have like a couple of new subscribers as well. But Eugene, you were saying something?
Oh yeah, guys, I have to go because it's 1 a.m. now here, right? And I'll be
an
having a
old
show
man.
on Monday. I'll be having a show on Monday, right? And to tell the truth, I don't understand why you can't find Newcastle fans, man. I've got a whole list of them from Malaysia.
They don't want to come on
Oh,
YouTube,
yeah.
bro. They don't
No.
want to come on YouTube.
Who said they don't want to come on YouTube? You met Johendran before. most probably next
yeah,
Monday I'll be getting Gary on, Julian on, right? I've got a lot of Newcastle fans. If you need any Malaysian Newcastle fans, let me know. And any of you guys,
there's
Monday,
a big contingent in Thailand as well, in
yeah.
Bangkok.
What you call on Monday, my show usually will be 5 p.m. UK time, right? I'm not sure that'll be that's about 10 p.m. my time, right? Any of you guys, Steve, 10, if you want to hop on,
Sweet.
let me know, right?
Yeah,
Get in touch with Steve. Steve knows where how to contact me and all that, right? Guys, don't forget Monday. Let's hope it's going to be a good one for Spurs, right? My score prediction: we're going to get smacked by Newcastle 5-0.
Seriously, 5?
this guy is just too negative. He hangs out with Scott Tam a bit too much.
Yeah. And to tell
It
the truth,
could be
right?
5. To be fair, it could. Your back
Steve,
line ain't.
Kieran Trippier is going to score 2 free kick goals. Watch and see.
He could, you know. It's
Yeah,
been a
he
minute.
will.
It's been a little bit since he's done that, but yeah,
Yeah,
he could. He could.
He'll turn up against Spurs. Don't worry, he'll turn up against Spurs just to prove Levy wrong, right? But guys,
Yeah.
don't forget, smash the like, subscribe to all the channels. I'm not 10. I'm not sure you have a channel or not. Steve, you have a channel too,
Oh,
right?
I do, yeah.
Yes, Steve's channel is in the description and also in the
Steve has a
title
channel.
as well.
Smash the like, subscribe to Steve's channel, right? And don't forget, smash the like, subscribe to Spursvision. Join me Monday 5 p.m. UK time, 10 p.m. Southeast Asian time, 10 a.m. Eastern time, Indian
5
time.
p.m. UK is not 10 p.m. Malaysian,
Oh,
bro.
sorry.
Should be midnight
3
here.
3 p.m. UK time.
In our time zone.
Yep, 3 p.m.
Sorry.
UK.
3 p.m. UK time, 10 p.m. Southeast Asian time.
Oh,
Right, 3
okay.
p.m. UK time. Yeah. And I'll most probably, I'm not sure, my co-host is Jamie, right? He's in the Philippines, he's in Manila, right? Maybe you guys can meet up. Yeah, I have a co-host who doesn't turn up most of the time.
He's from Manila,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, he's from Manila. But guys, take care. Right.
Take care,
Nice
Eugene. Nice
man.
meeting you, bro.
Nice meeting you. Nice meeting
Nice to meet
you.
you.
I'm going to show you guys, right? I got to go. Have a good
See
show.
you, man.
Right. See you. Bye-bye.
See you, man. Bye.
Peace.
Okay. By the way,
See you.
Fresh is here. Fresh, I'm so sorry. The thing is, the game is with Newcastle, not with Arsenal. If it's Arsenal, then I would have loved to have you on because Fresh is a Newcastle Arsenal fan. But anyways, guys, as we were going on that, the first thing is how do you think that that continuity has gone? Like, let's say from the January window, from the summer window, and then now this window. I think you guys are doing pretty well in terms of your recruitment, and I love that other point that Steve brought up earlier, that when you guys buy players, you look at the personality of the player very well, and I think that's another thing that we all need to pay a great attention in terms of being not just players, but now I think even in small companies as well, they have this personality test and all that. I don't know how much attention is paid in Spurs management as well towards these things, because working together is all about personalities and coordination.
Yeah.
If you want to get the team clicking, if you want to get the team going, or 10, you do have a channel as well. Let me share that
Yeah.
too in the chat. Yeah, man, seriously, I should know all these channels and I should go and watch all you guys. So yeah, in terms of that, when you need to get like personalities clicking, whether they are big personalities or small personalities, you need to see how much they match with each other, how well the dots can be connected. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I feel that in Spurs we lack quite a bit. And I'm quite happy that actually Newcastle is doing that, and I hope that maybe we get a model like that as well in the coming days. But uh Steve, I would like to ask you, how would you summarize Newcastle's season this year, or this whole season? How do you think it has gone for Newcastle overall? And in terms of Champions League and in terms of Newcastle's achievement, what are you hoping for? Would you rather go for like Europa League this year and start off with a smaller competition, or would you rather like have a high leap and straight jump to Champions League? Because I guess as a team, some of your players may not have played Champions League before. So what are your reservations about that? Let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, I actually would not mind Europa League at all, or even Conference League. It would be very disappointing, albeit if we did drop that low, because we're in such an advantageous position. But for me, it's like I would not mind Europa League at all, because you could argue if we have a very, very good summer window, we could be favorites for that competition. And the name of the game for me in football and sports in general is winning trophies with your team, like team awards. The individual stuff is all cool, but you want to have trophies at the end of the day. And I don't think we'll win the Champions League next year, but we have seen this year that if you get a decent draw with some teams that are about your level, that you could go far in the Champions League, and you can kind of dare to dream and whatnot. So, I would say for me, I would love to be Champions League, but I'm not. I'm completely fine with Europa League too. If I had to pick, I'd probably go Europa League. Actually, I would go Europa League just because I think like, hey, I want to win that trophy. And if you win the Europa League, it's direct Champions League qualification, so you kill two birds with one stone. So I mean, that's probably my perspective on that. But where do I think we'll end up? I think we'll end up third. And I've said that as soon as we beat you guys away, and it was late October this year. I made a video about it on Newcastle Fans TV, and I was like, yeah, we're getting top 4 because I'm looking around. None of these teams that we're competing with are that great, other than Man City and Arsenal, and I think we're the best of the rest, which is crazy because I thought going into the season, we're probably the best of the rest out of the top 6. Now there's a strong case where we're the best of the rest out of the top 2. So it's pretty crazy, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I asked this question, and I would love to hold on. Yeah, I want to hear from you as well. That I would love to hear about this from you as well. Like, what are your reservations about the whole this thing? Would you rather go straight away jump to Champions League, or would you rather play in Europa League and take the small baby steps one by one?
From this position, right? I would love to have if it's Europa League and let's say it guarantees us a trophy, let's just say that, I would take it. But the Champions League is a whole kettle of fish. I know it's like it seems like quick money because just how good or how progressive the team has been. Like 24 months ago, basically. If we were to finish outside of the top 4 by the end of the season, look, I'll be disappointed, but I'll still be proud of the team. And if we get Europa League, I'm not going to be too upset about it, but it would be a bit disappointing from the position we've been this season. In terms of like top 4, and Steve said after the Spurs game back in October, he was confident in top 4. For me, I kind of held it off for a bit, and I still am. I think it's actually going to be on Sunday. If we beat Spurs, I think I can be really confident we can get top 4. If we draw or we lose, I think we may be dragged into the battle of top 4. Because what I feel would happen if we don't beat Spurs was the Villa game something there, and then Spurs we didn't beat, and then we have Everton away who are fighting for their lives, and then the next home game Southampton. So that's why I feel like for this season, look, whatever happens, I'm really happy of what we've done this season. But it would feel a bit disappointing if we don't get top 4. But look, can't choose them all. So look, I would take Europa League or Champions League. I think at the start of the season I said 7th, so basically best of the rest of the top 6, and the fact that we're likely going to be even in a better European competition, is a good success. But likewise, you can say that to other teams, like let's just say reacts Arsenal fans right now. If they were to not win the Premier League title, they would be disappointed, even though they succeeded in what their preseason
expectations changed during the season.
Yeah.
Aston Villa, prime example. They thought going into the year, maybe get a European spot, top 10 finish, because they haven't done that for quite a long time. And then Gerrard stunk the gaff out, obviously, because he's not a very good manager. And then they sacked him, brought in Unai Emery, and now they're thinking, let's get a European spot. So their expectations changed 1, 2, 3 times in the same year based off of where they were in the table.
Yep.
So expectations changed during the year. And so I'd agree with 10 about that. Yeah, it would be a little bit disappointing, but at the same time,
you can be proud, but it would feel disappointing in a way. It's somewhat like.
But then again, 10, you know when it wouldn't feel disappointing is that first game back in the Europa League, and you'd be like, "Wow, we're back in Europe." So it would really hit the week leading up to that game if we had I don't know,
I mean,
a Roma at home, or if we had a big Italian team or a big Spanish team or a big French team or whatever come to St. James, or we go away to there, and you just feel that, wow, we're back in Europe again. This is could be the start of something special, So, but yeah, I would agree. It would be a little bit disappointing, but I wouldn't mind at all. But for me, I want to just again, trophies are the name of the game for me. So that's how I've always seen it. So.
I kind of feel think the same way as well, but I guess that's the why I asked this question was because sometimes a gradual growth is better than a sudden growth where you cannot win trophies.
Sure. Yeah.
Going into a conference league would give your players a bit more exposure, get your fan base a bit more excited, rather than having high expectations straight away from that Champions League season, and then you falter in Champions League. Then you start to put that pressure over yourself again next season. Okay, we must go to Champions League. If we are not, then it's a failure. So or sometimes that gradual growth works better. So I wanted to hear that from you guys, but I think you guys are pretty realistic in terms of the gradual growth.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm fine with gradual growth. And let's just say if we do get Champions League football, what my fear would be is what's happening at West Ham or at Leicester, back-to-back European competitions, and now both, more likely Leicester are probably going to get relegated. So
there's single-digit games left. If they save themselves, that's a tall order.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll be relegated next season if we do what Leicester or West Ham are doing. But I do understand the gradual growth that would be sustainable for us over a period of time. So I think it's more about, let's see what we do in the summer as well, whether we have Champions League football or not. Because for one, we still, for me, I don't really know what or how much our owners will be spending in terms of if we're in the Champions League, how much will we spend? I know there's been a report that we've been linked with James Maddison, Declan Rice, Musa Diaby, players that are practically Champions League level. For us, it feels like a dream that we're even linked with these sort of players.
Yeah.
But in the same sort of mind frame, we're also those players are actually, in a way, quite attainable as well.
I mean, 10, think about it. What position in the league were we in when we brought Bruno Guimaraes to the club? Rock bottom. Rock bottom. The day he signed, we were rock bottom of the table. Rock bottom. And Bruno Guimaraes gets in any of these squads in the Premier League and starts for probably 18 teams, 17. He starts for the bottom 10, obviously. He starts for Aston Villa probably over a John McGinn. I like John McGinn a lot, but he probably starts over him. He probably starts at Spurs. Obviously, Elias loves him. Like he said, a huge fan. He probably starts at Arsenal over a Granit Xhaka because he can do what Xhaka does, and he's
Who you are talking about? Højbjerg, is it?
Bruno Guimaraes.
Oh, Bruno Guimaraes. Yes, of course, I love him.
Guimaraes would start over a Højbjerg, for example.
Guimaraes
Him and
would start
Bentancur.
over
Him and
anybody
Bentancur.
in our. Yeah, him and Bentancur would be a great duo if it were to ever happen. But I don't think he's gonna come to us.
He'd probably start
But
at Man United. He probably,
Yep.
he starts for us.
I think he will start in
starts
any
at
top 6
Chelsea.
side. Yeah, he would.
In Man
Easily.
City, he would probably, albeit Pep has a different way of doing it because he rotates a lot, but Bruno Guimaraes would get a lot of game time in Champions League and whatnot for Man City, I think. So again, we attracted a very, very, very good player at rock bottom of the table. And also,
Yeah.
Ten, if you think about it like this, in January we didn't really spend that much.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
was-
We could really go. We could really
at
throw.
time was 100 million. The January 2022, and then this past January was really only
Peanuts.
Anthony Gordon.
We sold Chris Wood and Shelby for 25 million between the two of them combined. So we recouped that back. So I mean, it's looking really, really good. It's looking really good for us. And if we get Champions League football, then we could really, the owners and Eddie Howe will talk with each other and be like, what do we want to do? Do we want to splurge a bit? Is it appropriate to do so? Do we want a statement signing, or do we want to just keep doing what we're doing? I'm very, very intrigued about the summer window.
Actually, I want to ask Elias about this. Like, if let's say we Newcastle get Champions League football and all that, like, how confident are you with Spurs being able to at least be able to match, not just us, but, people are saying Liverpool will be back next season. Chelsea could be back if they have a proper manager. And, obviously you have Man City, Arsenal, people are saying Eric Ten Hag at Man United. Like, how do you see Spurs in the immediate future, regardless if you get top 4 or European football by the end of the season?
Spurs, in any regards, is always tough to predict. Like, we can be one season in the Conference League, and then suddenly you get a manager like Conte, and then you are challenging for Champions League, and then suddenly the expectations are so high that we might, even for the first 1 or 2 weeks, we are challenging the title leaders, like what we were doing this season towards the beginning, first few game weeks. And if I'm not mistaken, there was a time in this season as well that we were at top of the league as well. Were we
For a few weeks. You were up
or
in
like
one
1
state,
or 2 weeks, something like that.
At least top
Or not
2, I
even
remember.
like one whole game week. Yeah. So it's always kind of unpredictable with Spurs. And I would say that where we are right now, I think it's less likely to happen the way the competition is going in Premier League. But again, sometimes Premier League level can drop, like what has happened this year with Chelsea and Liverpool, and we have capitalized on it. I think if not for them, we could be far below in the table right now. Like, we could have been at the 7th spot, 8th spot easily. If Chelsea were to be doing well, Liverpool were to be doing well, we could have been there. Given how badly our performances have been, and I think we have kind of taken a good opportunity, or we have kind of like capitalized on their downfall this season. I think it's nothing from our side, in my opinion.
And also, if Harry Kane leaves, that throws everything into doubt for next season.
That makes things way
Everything.
worse for every single one of us. Like, it's going to be bad.
Because who's going to get you those? How many goals is he on this year? He's not even. He's had some good games and whatnot, but the level of Harry Kane this year is not at what it was previous seasons in terms of consistency and whatnot. And he's still vital to your team because he's on what, 18, 19 Premier League goals?
I think he's more than that already, like 20 plus.
There you go. Let me look it up. And that's the whole point. It's like Richarlison's not getting you 22 goals or whatever he's on right now. And if you don't have those goals, who's scoring them? And then you also look at Heung-min Son this year. his productivity has been very, very low for his standards and performances as well. Next year could be a year where Spurs are like 8th, 9th, 10th if Kane leaves. Because it's like, are you going to appropriately replace him? I have my doubts. Very, very strong doubts.
Yeah, but then conversely, in a way, it's either two extremes for next season, I would say, for Spurs. It could be 8th, 9th, 10th, but I could also see it being like if Spurs were to actually get a manager, I don't know who it would be in the end, so only time will tell. But I could see, if Spurs can have some recruitment, like I know under Conte, the first transfer window, I know you guys brought in Bentancur, Kulusevski, and I think
that was not good recruitment. I would say that was just
Paratici took advantage of his
that whole
relationship with
Juve
Juve.
situation and all that. Yeah,
And we'll
to clear
see,
the
and
records
we've seen what Paratici's gotten himself into. So
Yep. So it's not good recruitment. It's just like taking advantage, and it turned into our favor. Yeah, like Paratici is no Don.
Okay.
Like when that happened, a lot of Spurs channels went crazy. They were like, "Oh, Paratici is a Don. He can do this. He can do all those wonders." So like,
yeah, that's what
cares?
I somewhat feel. Heading into last summer's transfer window with Spurs, with the success of Bentancur and Kulusevski, I thought Spurs would kick on, and at least I didn't think of Spurs challenging for the title, but I think I had Spurs finishing 4th at the start of the season because I thought under Conte and with the players you brought in, at least from the outside looking in back then, you had a lot of, maybe not all Spurs fans, but just the general public saying Spurs won the transfer window,
which they definitely did. Hindsight is yeah,
but I thought Spurs would kick on. Hasn't in a way it hasn't worked out that way this season, but then I can feel or I can sense that if Spurs were to get the right manager in, Spurs could be a surprise challenger. Well, not really a surprise challenger, but not be what people think they'll do next season. That's like finishing 8th or 9th. That's what I feel. But I think time will tell, to be honest, on Spurs.
Yeah. So, but I feel personally that Spurs, if from here onwards, they are gonna go below rather than up from where we are.
Yeah,
Given that some teams would do much better in the coming season and all that. So to me, I mean, I have very less hope from expectations from Spurs, but I will. But going back to the game, guys, at this point of the season, I think you guys look pretty confident about this game, this Spurs fixture. What are your general feelings going into this? Are you guys confident or are you nervous? Steve, what do you think?
Well, we got our ass kicked by Aston Villa, so I'm not feeling supremely confident, but I am feeling still pretty well because I think we can easily exploit your defense. It's not a very good defense. Dyer, Davies, Sanchez, Tanganga, Longley, they've all been mediocre at their best this year. I mean, how many goals have you guys conceded in the league? And it's really poor, honestly. The organization, the goal that Bournemouth scored, you had 3 guys in the box trying to defend Solanke and Awatara. So it was technically a 2-on-3, and you somehow mucked it up where these guys are all on Solanke, but then all of a sudden Awatara is on a desert island. And then all of a sudden, I think Højbjerg tried to pick him up. Awatara, a great move just to cut in and slot it past Lurie. Your defense is no organization. The midfield shape without a Bentancur is very sloppy and jagged, and it's just a mess. And if Bournemouth are able to exploit that, we surely should be able to with the home crowd demanding a performance after the 3-0 Aston Villa loss. And also because we respond much better to adversity than you guys, I think, as a team, because I think our mentality is much stronger because and that again reflects on the club situation of ambition and whatnot. Very high expectations, and you guys have a match fixer as your manager, bro. he's a mini Conte. He's a mini Conte. He doesn't have any creative ideas. The most creative thing I've seen was that he tried to go with a back four. And the only reason why I think that happens is because of the injuries to your defense.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys have like 7 guys out. So I don't really think he had any option there. Yeah, they've got a lot of guys. They've got a lot of injuries, Ted. They got a lot of injuries. So for me, I think
loads of injuries.
Yeah, and with us getting Almiron back, that could be somewhat significant.
Yeah,
me,
that's another one. I love that guy, Miguel Almiron.
Yeah, again, it's just like Joe Ellington, right? Those guys always put in the work before Eddie Howe and whatnot, but the quality was just poor a lot of the times, and it's because the manager didn't know how to manage. Steve Bruce, he didn't know how to manage. He's not a good manager. He doesn't know how to get the most out of his team. Our team before Eddie Howe was just give it to ASM and hope something happens, and Callum Wilson too. So for me, it's like it's chalk and cheese between the two clubs right now in terms of ambition, confidence in the squad, just a game plan in general of what the what both clubs want to achieve. I don't think Levy wants to achieve anything outside of making money.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty obvious. But then
what that reflects down. So yeah, go on, Ted.
Yeah, Dan, what are your feelings going into this game? Like, I think you are kind of more confident.
I can be confident going into the game, but also knowing the history between the two clubs at St. James's Park, I think I know we have a better record at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and Spurs have a better record at St. James's. So it's usually the away team that usually gets something from the game. And actually, this exact fixture was the first game after the announcement of the takeover back in October a couple of years ago. So it somewhat has some significance this time around. Albeit being a very, very much more better circumstance from our view. I can be confident, I can back my team, but also I have to at least be wary that with the quality that Son, Kane can have, and I think Son has scored in back-to-back games. I think the first time this season, I'm not sure.
Which is outrageous. It's April, man.
Yeah.
It's April.
So I think up front, I think Spurs could do something. But you have to look at Tottenham's defense. I don't really trust it. So
To put it simply, the fear factor is Harry Kane, and that's about it.
Yeah, the only fear factor is Harry Kane, and I think our only strength in ways maybe Kane. But now Son is kind of like gaining his form at the moment. Like now he's not as bad as he was. So I guess that can be another factor that can pose you guys a little bit challenge. But other than that, even in my opinion, I don't see anything else that can pose like challenge. Maybe who knows, like Pedro Porro, if his technical abilities
I
might
think he's
come
been
in.
disappointing. I don't know about you. I've been underwhelmed.
No, I think going forward he's better than Emerson Royal, but defensively no.
Oh yeah.
So
which
I
is the
wouldn't
problem.
count on him defensively, and given that now we are dealing with the injuries of Clement Langley, Ben Davies, our whole left side, the defenders are gone basically. We only have Paratici, I think, there, and then we have to put someone like Romero on the left side, or either Sanchez on the right, or something like that. So that's not going to look good in my opinion. So back line is going to be awful in my opinion. So in fact, if I were to be given an option, I would put Tanganga on the left, and then maybe I'll put Romero on the right to just balance things, but not Sanchez. But looks like that somehow the managers try to put in the experienced players up. I don't understand that whole logic. Like, why would you put someone like Sanchez there? In my opinion, he's like kind of worse, but I guess that's the one area there where you guys can really capitalize the back line. Like, just pressure them a little bit.
Isak can really, especially because when we played Villa, on Saturday when Callum Wilson came on and we kind of went 4-4-1-1. That Callum Wilson, he didn't do a lot in that game, but what he did was he got the attention of the Aston Villa defense and their center backs. That freed up some space for Isak because it's like you've got two threats to deal with now. If we do that against Spurs, we're going to be able to score, I think.
Yeah.
Isak can either through balls, can hold up the ball, link up play, get our wingers involved and Joe Ellington and whatnot. Go on.
Yeah, I always say, like, for us this season for Newcastle, I always say whoever scores the first goal in the game usually gets a result, because it was only back in March against Nottingham Forest that was the first time we conceded the first goal, but actually won the game. Yeah. It was the first time this season. I'm not sure how Spurs are when they go behind in games and how many games you've managed to win.
10. Remember the beginning of the year when they were going 1-0 down, 2-0 down, 1-0 down, 2-0 down?
Yeah.
And then they were scraping wins, but then all of a sudden, funny enough, it was probably after the Newcastle game where things really just went.
Yep, it just really went down, and I guess it could be that way for us as well here.
Because remember, Villa beat them at their place. Bournemouth, Man City did it, which is always funny because you guys beat them at home every.
Arsenal did. Arsenal. That really shocked me
for the first time. So.
Yep, Arsenal for the first time in 9 years they both beat us at home. That was crazy.
Yeah.
So. Things since then has not been looked very good for us, in my opinion. But guys,
go on.
No, sorry. Continue. You were saying something.
Oh, I was about to say, like, if whoever, I have a feeling if we score a goal in the first 10-15 minutes,
it's gonna get ugly.
Exactly.
I have that feeling.
Yeah.
Not to the extent of Liverpool's 7-0 Man United type of scoreline, but
4 or 5.
You never know. It has that feeling.
If you were to score 2 goals in the first 30 minutes, it's going to be a bad game for us, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I remember few years ago,
we got relegated,
and we beat Spurs 5-1. So there's always been that
last day of the season.
That sort of
Yep. By the way, big up Google for all the links in the chat. So guys, if you haven't already, go and subscribe to the channels of these awesome lads that we've got on. But I think you guys have pretty much given your score predictions already, so I don't have to go in there.
I'm not going to say 5-6-0, but
what's your realistic score prediction at the moment?
What's one that you would put money on?
Yep.
That's how I always think of it.
Sorry to any Spurs fans, but if we score first,
no need to say sorry to Spurs fans. Even I call them out. I call them stupid. I call them you're the guys who are.
I think 2 or 3-0 for us.
2 or 3.
But I could also see it being ugly. But I could also see Spurs. If Kane and Son just for one game click, because this is in a way the season for Spurs, because after this you have Man United and Liverpool, which I think are better teams than us, in my opinion, on paper. So this is kind of like the season ending game for Spurs.
Yep. And Steve, what about you? What do you think?
I think it'll be a 1-0. 1-0 Newcastle, I'll say. I don't know. I feel like we will pepper you, but I think you might get lucky a few times where it might just maybe Lurie makes a few good saves. He hasn't been that great this year, but he always has the capability of making some really, really good saves. So I'll go 1-0 just because we are coming off of that battering.
Yeah.
I'll go 1-0. 1-0 about. I think there's, like I said, the only fear factor you've got is Kane. That's really the only player, because even Kulusevski and Son, again, they just haven't They haven't been.
I know Sun is kind of getting better. Kulusevski, yeah, he
Yeah.
has been looking bad, but I don't know how much
Yeah.
of that would it work in our favor. Like, would we try something different with the likes of
I don't
Denuma
think
or
so.
yeah, but even then, I think someone like Denuma, he only does well against like lower table teams. I don't think he's the kind of player who can really shook the Newcastle defense, in my opinion, because Newcastle has a pretty decent defense, like Kieran Trippier and plus Sven Botman and all that. Like, I mean, you
Fabian
guys have a
Scher.
proper defense.
Fabian
Yeah,
Scher.
Fabian Schär is great. Like that guy, I love it. For the longest of time, he has been in my fantasy team as well. So I count on that guy quite a bit
Nick
for some
Pope.
points.
Very good
Nick
signing for
Pope,
us at only
exactly.
10 million.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we can only rely on the front line and maybe to a certain extent, someone like Romero, Poro. Like I can only think of like 3 or 4 players in total that we can count on. Other than that, the whole team is crap in my opinion at this point.
Yeah.
So I will go for a 2-0 win for Newcastle. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, it's been pleasure having you. Steve, any last thoughts?
Definitely expecting a win. Good luck to you. And God have
We do need
mercy
the
on
luck.
you if you guys. God have mercy on you guys if you lose Harry Kane in the summer.
Yep.
That could get real bad. But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
really appreciate you coming on.
Of course.
My pleasure. And thanks for
Anytime,
introducing
bro.
us to 10. By the way, 10,
Yeah.
any last thoughts?
Look, I can sound confident in my team winning on Sunday, but I'll keep it humble. I'm not saying we'll get top 4 until after the game. If we beat Spurs, I think that's where my belief in us getting top 4 is actually a thing. But yeah, good luck to both teams. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, man. Really, it's a tough fixture now, and I think it's kind of becoming one of my favorite fixtures as well of lately. Given the way Newcastle perform and the way they developed much, because I like to see teams that have kind of developed from that gradual step by step development, that organic development, that organic growth that Newcastle has seen, not that sudden spending of money and all that. Like I really admire Newcastle into a certain extent, and I think Spurs should start building on a project like that.
Yeah.
With some decent personalities, not too much of youngsters, just bringing in youngsters, but maybe some personalities that can click together and form a bit of a team, the team that connects the dots well on the field performances. I would love to see something like that, and I guess you guys have brought in some great insights, like how Newcastle has done that. But really, I think as a fan base, we need to take certain steps as well. If we want to see something like that, we need to go and protest big time, support the
Yeah.
protesters. Let's not laugh at protesters, let's not take the piss out of them, because these guys, they really take time out of their weekly activities and go sometimes to the weekend to protest, to do the protests. And some of us from our homes, like some people, some channels, you all may not realize it's very easy to accuse these people, but there's nothing to accuse them about. First of all, guys, like there's
Right.
nothing wrong about protesting. It's just about being ambitious, and
Yeah.
that's how you can bring your clubs back. You can bring the glory days back to your club, in my opinion. So we
You
need to
guys have
spot
the highest season ticket cost in world football.
exactly, like
So you
we
should be
deserve
getting
better
a
than what we
product
are getting.
much better than that.
Exactly, like
Especially
even
in a
even
stadium that's so beautiful and whatnot. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
I would rather have a poor ground rather other than that stadium where the Lady Gaga and Beyonce just dance, and Wizkid
I
Wizkid just
actually
coming
like
out.
White Hot Wing.
Yeah, I mean White Hart
It's
Lane
a
was
nice
okay, but I
stadium.
mean this new stadium is just like the home of Lady Gaga and all the concerts and stuff. And I mean it does no good
NFL.
to NFL, go karting. The 2030 Olympics bid
Oh my god.
would be sent for Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They would host the Olympic ceremony there as well. But big
Oh,
up, guys. Thanks for joining me. And guys, I will be live now on Saturday night. But I'm confirming that show. But if you all want to follow up on the updates on that show, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's where I usually drop the updates, so you can actually get in touch with me via Facebook as well, because I do post updates on Facebook as well. So there I will be dropping all the updates from my show there. And make sure you guys go and hit the like and subscribe to the videos of Steve and Dan. Their channels
Yes,
are
sir.
all in the links. Thanks to Goguma who has put in all the links there. And big up to every single one of you who tuned in today, namely Fresh, Goguma. We had JP Eka Spurs. We had Strasbourg Steve. That was Steve. We had Mile High Hospital. That's Leo. We also had Dan Diadem. That's Dan. And we had Ingwa. We had SOF. We had Mark Swift. We had DJ Warren. Uh, we had Tottenham away. That was Iggy with us. And we had Eugene. And guys, I'm off now. As always, come on, you Spurs, and Levy out.
Yes, sir. Away the lads.